It's October 26th. It's about 39 degrees, and I'm out here planting garlic. I've got most of my heads broken down into cloves. I like to save the largest heads and largest cloves for planting, because the size of clove that you plant is directly correlated to the size of clove and head that you grow. So when you are constantly planting the largest cloves, you can build up a really, really nice seed stock of garlic, and you end up only growing large heads and large cloves. And that's where I'm at on a lot of these varieties. Some of these I haven't been growing for as long as others, but two of my main ones that I plant are German White here and Majestic. They just produce these huge cloves, and I always save the biggest ones, and I keep growing, and they keep getting bigger, and amazing flavor. They're both porcelain types. I don't grow any soft neck. I find it to be mild, and I don't like the smaller cloves. I just haven't grown any that I'm crazy about, and I have no problem storing all of these varieties, other than the exception of probably the Amish heirloom. Gets a little bit mushy by the end of the winter, so I tend to eat that one first. But the rest of these I have no problem storing throughout the winter, throughout spring, and into summer when I'm harvesting the next garlic. Some of my favorite flavors for flavor-wise are chestnut red, Korean red, Georgian fire. Those are Rocambole types, and they do have a little bit smaller cloves, but still like really nice big cloves compared to other garlics, and they just have this insanely flavorful, spicy flavor that is just unreal for cooking, and I love it. So I'm going to get planting these and show you some of my techniques for how I like to plant garlic. It's October 30th, and I just about have all the garlic planted. It's about 28 degrees today, but it's still perfect time to get planting. I find in Zone 5B where I'm at, the end of October is the perfect time after we get a number of good frosts. You don't want to plant it too early, because you want it to take root, but you don't want it necessarily to sprout through the soil too much, because that can expose the roots to cold temperatures and potentially kill it over the winter. So you want to get it right in the right window. If you're in a warmer zone, you really have until the end of November to mid-December to get it planted. I've planted it mid-November here and had no issues, because I'm by myself here, and sometimes it just takes a while to get it planted, especially when I'm planting a lot of it like I like to do. And I suggest you do that. Plant as much as you can, because it's a very rewarding crop to grow, very easy to grow. What I'm going to do first is lay everything out on the soil, and I like to do that so I can get the spacing right, and I can kind of visually see how much space each variety is going to take up. I've got pretty much all of it in. Today I'm getting ready to do the German White, and then I'll be done with the garlic, and I'll be moving on to the shallots. When planting your garlic, you want to be about 8 inches apart in between your rows and in between all the cloves all the way around. You can plant them about 6 inches apart if you're low on space, but it's best to give them more space so that they have less competitiveness between each other. In fact, I like to plant mine 10 to 12 inches apart, just to make sure that they have optimal room and the roots aren't competing and stuff like that. When I plant my garlic and shallots, I like to use it as an opportunity to start a new garden area, especially because I like to heavily mulch it, and it helps suppress the weeds for that new area. I don't like to, because the soil type here in the field is really good seems to be really good for garlic. I don't like to add much to it prior to, but a good compost is a good idea. Spreading high quality, clean hardwood ash is another very good idea. It helps vigorous bulb growth, and if you're going to add some kind of fertilizer, I would make sure it's just a balanced fertilizer, not too much nitrogen. But I don't find any need, and I've never done it. I always have very good success just planting it in the soil and covering it with hardwood leaves, and it seems to do incredibly well here. After you got it all spaced out, you want to plant your garlic not too deep, not too shallow. How deep you plant it also has to do with if you plan on mulching it or not. So if you do plan on mulching it, you'll be planting it a little bit less deep than if you are going to mulch it. Generally about 3 inches is perfect from the bottom of the bulb to the top of the soil. If you're not going to mulch it, I would go 5 to 6 inches down. But definitely don't do it too shallow. But really, it's hard to screw it up. You just about 3 inches is a good rule of thumb, and make sure you got the roots down. So the pointy end on top, roots down, and it's as simple as that. As you're going, I've got a lot of rocks in this field, and as you're going, just if you feel a rock, just take it out of the way. So obviously it doesn't suppress the growth and everything like that. And that's how I like to plant my garlic. The soil here is just very mineral rich, high in calcium, high in minerals. It just does very well here, sandy loam soil. Tons of rocks, so I just try and remove as many rocks as I can so it doesn't really suppress the growth. But other than that, it really does wonderful here. And later on in the video, I'll show you how I like to mulch it with hardwood leaves that I collect that fall in the driveway and along the driveway here. If you don't have property where you can collect leaves, it's really easy to call your local landscape company and figure out which ones have leaves available from yard pickup. It's not as ideal as having it sourced from where you know it came from, but it's a good way to just be sustainable and get that good mulch. Other good ways to mulch are with grass clippings, straw, and stuff like that. You don't really want to use hay because it has a lot of seeds in it. I've even used corn stalks. I don't think I'm going to use it this year, but if I run out of leaves to use, I'll be taking these corn stalks down and I'll use them as mulch. That does really well. My favorite is just the hardwood leaves because it has such a bountiful life force in them, and they just I've always had great success using hardwood leaves, and they do really well at suppressing the weed growth, but the garlic and the shallots and stuff, they pop right on through them leaves, and it's really great. So I'll get more onto that later in the video, and next I'll be doing shallots. Got a lot of leaves collected. Still have a whole lot more to collect, but I wanted to get this video done so I could post it, and I'll show you how I like to mulch my garlic and shallots. Talked about what I like to use as mulch, and as far as how deep to put the mulch, I like to use about 6 inches for the garlic. It helps weed suppression, and the garlic shoots are very, very strong, and so they'll shoot right through it. And over the winter, there's a lot of decompression that happens too, so you can put that into account. Got a whole lot more leaves to bring out to the field to get this garlic patch finished, but it's going to be another week or so before the rest of the leaves fall and I'm able to get it out here and spread it. So I just wanted to make sure I got this video finished so I could post it. As you can see, just a nice thick layer. I like to try and keep the rows recognizable so that you know where you can walk and where you can't walk. And nice thick layer, about 6 inches, like I said. As you can see, real thick layer of mulch. And hope this gives you a good idea on how I like to mulch my garlic. The shoots are very, very strong, so they'll come up through this and be beautiful in the spring, and some very, very wonderful heads in the midsummer when it comes to harvesting.